Awkward.
That's like being on a date with a girl and calling her by a different name.
Or actually, it's almost like calling her by her sister's name. Like even this, like it's
Ooh.
like that's how deep this cut.
So welcome back to another episode of Power of Bourbon. Tonight we are going to try a limited release, I guess, for this year. It will become a readily available and always part of their line. It's just a little hard to find now because it's brand new, COVID, all those crazy stuff. But it is Elijah Craig Toasted, which, if you didn't pay attention to Chuck while I was talking, because he just had it sitting right there anyway. But
to the point.
I mean, if you've paid attention to the show a recent amount, we don't actively like hunt the super rare allocated stuff. We look occasionally, pop into the liquor store once a week, things like that. And all three of us have been able to find a bottle of Elijah Craig Toasted. So it is out there. And all three of us paid MSRP, which is about $45 to $50 for it. So if you see it out there for the 100 plus, which a lot of people do, I've seen it all over Facebook and things like that, don't buy it for that price. Be a little patient and you'll find it for MSRP. And like I said, Elijah Craig's has stated this is going to be a part of their lineup forever. It should be readily available. It might be released twice a year, so a little bit harder in those sense, but you should be able to find it with minimal hunting. So this is just their normal Elijah Craig, but it's finished in a toasted barrel. So that means it goes back into a second barrel that has a light toast to it, and that imparts different flavors. You can see this kind of the company that made it original and famous for it is Mickers with their toasted rye that gets huge accolades and everything like that. But the toasted phenomenon is starting to catch up because then you had Brian's favorite, Old Foe 1910, started doing it and everything like that.
Yeah, they did.
Yep. And so everybody's kind of getting on the toasted bandwagon here in the last 2 years. And so this is the first one from Heaven Hill with their Elijah Craig. So,
yeah. And as far as like the availability of this, I'd almost classify it as a like not so limited release. Is kind of how I see this thing moving forward. Once again, just you should be able to find it if you're intentional, but you're not necessarily going to find it every day on the shelf like you would normal Elijah Craig.
Yeah, and I think that's just going to increase over time.
yeah.
Hopefully, because it is delicious.
Yeah, I mean, I got mine sometime late last year, and at that time it was very limited release. I had to, my store probably got, well, I guess I don't know the actual total number of bottles, but it was definitely they didn't even put it on the shelf. You had to ask for it.
Yeah, and I just got mine a couple weeks ago. I just walked in. I was actually just kind of perusing, actually looking for something else, and I just saw kind of a lineup of a couple things they had back there, and I was like, "Hey, what's that Elijah Craig?" And it was this. They had like 3 bottles of it. I was like, "Are those available?" And I was like, "Thank you very much." Went straight to the register, got it, and then I just kind of asked like, "Hey, how often do you see this?" And they're like, "Oh, once every couple weeks." Like recently, we've been getting a couple, so I think that just is do your due diligence and you'll come across one.
The nose is delightful. You definitely get more of the charcoal, campfirey smell to it, which is always nice.
Mm-hmm. I get just a nice light char, light smoke coming through on the nose. I mean, I guess we're all somewhat fans of, just as an everyday drinker, of Elijah Craig small batch. For the price anyway, good value.
Mm-hmm.
And that I get a nice vanilla note on Elijah Craig small batch, and I'd say that's almost a little bit more subdued here. So that extra time in the toasted barrel, I get more of that smoke, less of the vanilla on the nose.
Yeah, I'd almost say the nose overall in this one compared to some of the Elijah Craig is subdued overall. It's just almost like a light, fluffy, present like nose, You get a little bit of oak, a little bit of that toasted. I also feel like I get a little bit of like orchard fruit, maybe like a pear, a little bit of maybe apple in there.
I must get a little bit of that cocoa as it transitions into the finish. So you get that toasted graham cracker towards the end of the palate, and then it kind of fades into a little bit of that cocoa.
Yeah, s'mores with bourbon, I would say. Interesting. I don't think I got the cocoa kind of on that initial palate profile, but then once you mentioned it, I feel like at the end of that palate, that cocoa really kind of comes out once you know what it is.
Yeah. And then the finish is a nice spice finish. It doesn't, again, it's 94 proof, so it's not going to light you up and give you a big Kentucky hug or anything. But it definitely, it's there. Like I feel it in my jawline, just a nice light buzz with the pepper spice and everything like that. So it's just like the normal Elijah Craig that drinks a little hot sometimes. This definitely lets you know that it's still there, and it's a great finish.
Yeah, I think it drinks hotter than a 94 proof in a good way.
Yes.
The finish is a nice light pepper that kind of lingers, doesn't overpower. Some of that's probably coming from a little bit of a ethanol forward finish.
All right, so let's actually kind of put some numbers to this thing. So on the nose, I'm at, I think, a 3.5, to be honest.
That's the exact number I had in my head was 3.5. So I think if a couple of the notes stood out just a little bit more, we might be talking 4, but we're 3.5.
I think 3.5 is appropriate.
Yeah. Palate, again, I feel like I'm at a 3.5. It's more than just a good bourbon. There's a couple notes and things like that are putting it up a level. I'm not going to put it to a 4 because there's so many really amazing stuff. That's where it starts to blow my socks off. But there's pleasantness and surprise, and I'm definitely going to go back for more. So yeah, 3.5.
I'm on the fence here between a 3.5. I think I'm gonna go 3. Just not as complex, not complex enough for me. Obviously at a 3, it's solid. Nothing wrong with it, but I think I was looking for a little bit more. I'm at a 3.
Ooh, Brian's got power. It's happened so rare.
Look at him; he's smiling with the like just soaking in the power.
Well, yep. I was really hoping actually, Charlie, you were going to go 3.5 because I was on the fence between 3 and 3.5 as well, and so I was actually trying to just like opt out, hashtag be a bystander, and just not get involved, and you forced me to be involved now, so. It is an incredibly enjoyable drink, but I have to agree with Charlie here. Like, now I will say this, like to start this on the finish, I'm definitely back up to 3.5. But yeah, I feel like the palate just doesn't quite offer enough to get to 3.5. So I am agreeing with Charlie.
All right, and then
I'm probably going to drink and hate myself later for it.
And then on the finish, I'm the opposite. Like I feel like it's a one-note finish. It's not overly complex. It goes away for a little bit, and then I get that pepper finish, which lets me know I have a finish. But it's just not complex, so I'm going to give it a 3.
I'm at a 3.5. I feel like the start of the finish, you get a few different little notes that then blend into that pepper. It is just, I feel like it's that great amount of pepper kick, lingers a little bit, not as long as I might like, but it lingers a little bit. It just balances like that. It gets up there on the pepper, not too much though. And the fact that it is a 94 proof, drinks higher than that, but isn't abrasive in the process, makes me go 3.
Yeah, I do agree with that last part. Just being 94 proof, it does have a pleasant finish, but I'm kind of with TJ on this. I think a 3 is properly rated.
Sounds good. All right, and then for the overall, are you going to just drink this at a bar? Are you going to pass completely? You going to just buy it if you see it or hunt it? And I guess I'll kind of start off. It's definitely worth having on your bar, but not like going crazy hunting. So.
Yeah, and when you say hunting, we mentioned this earlier, but buying at MSRP, like
yes.
Some of the prices that we've seen on this the last few months, just don't make sense. I'll go next. So I personally, so I already have a bottle. Happy to have it on the shelf. Probably not where I'm going to go out and buy a backup bottle. But when this one's gone and I see it, probably buy it again.
This is something I'll probably have to intentionally go out and get. It's in that hunt category for me. I definitely to get my first one. It's not one of the ones I'm going to hunt to get 2 or 3 on the shelf. But to get that first one, I would say do your due diligence, ask around, talk to people, try to figure out when they're going to get it, and put some effort into that. And I think you'll be very happy that you did. So that's where I'm at.
All right, sounds good. So if you can find a bottle or you hear a bottle might be available, definitely go looking, try to find it. But again, as we always say, pay MSRP, be patient. You'll find it eventually. Very few bottles are worth paying crazy prices for. So yeah, so once again, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Let us know if there's any other bottles that you'd be interested in us reviewing. I'm always looking for an excuse to go buy a bottle of bourbon, and you giving it to me would be wonderful. So we'll see you next time.
Stay neat.
Or bourbon.